Hello and welcome back to another episode of Imposter Coding. I am the Imposter Coder, Gary. Today, before we start, I just wanted to say I've been going over the documentation, reading it more or less on each episode. I am probably not going to be doing that anymore. I'm just going to be going ahead and just building this. I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time in doing that. But there are going to be some times that I'm going to reference it going forward. So real quick, let's recap what we did in the last episode. What I did more or less was I created a publisher node. So if you haven't seen it, there'll be a link for it somewhere. But either way, what I did was I just basically went through and I made a basic publisher node. All it's going to do is publish essentially this string to a topic that we named hardware status. So in this episode, what I want to do is just create a subscriber node that is going to subscribe to this topic, and it should receive this message, and then we'll be able to log it down in our console like we were with this message in the previous episode. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So like I said, I do want to reference one thing in the documentation real quick. I just want to show you essentially this is what we're working to achieve. So we got this part created right here where we created the publisher node, and it's publishing a message to a topic. So all we're trying to do now is create a subscriber node to receive that message. Alright, so now let's get right into this. I guess the first thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to create a new file, of course. So let's come down in here. What we have to do, the first thing I know I want to do is definitely not CD out of this, CD into my source directory, into Larry controller, which is going to be our package, and then inside our package there's going to be another subdirectory with the or another directory with the same name. So we're going to want to get into that one, and then this is where our nodes live. So this is actually where we want to be. So now what I could do is I could just say and then we need to make it an executable, so that's alright. So that makes it so that way it's ready to go. And if we come over here, we see that it was added actually to our project tree. We can go ahead and open it up. We can use our template node to get a jump start on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and close these ones because we don't need them anymore. This is the correct file. Okay. We can go ahead and get rid of these nodes. We don't need them any longer either. Okay. Alright. So I guess next thing to do is to change a few key items like this. It'll be display. So I'm going to obviously change everything in the file that says monitor to display, and that should essentially work and be an easy update. Okay. And real quick, just for fun, since I did that there, what I actually feel like doing, although not necessary. Alright, just to give us some similarity, I guess. Okay, so we have our display status node created. So basically we're going to do something similar to what we did with our monitor status node, where we created a publisher using one of the built-in functions that comes with the node object, or the node the node object. And then we're going to more or less, we're going to have to pass in the message type that we plan to use, the topic name that we're going to be subscribing to, and then we're going to also need a callback function. We'll pass a callback function like we did here, only we'll pass it directly in to our subscriber. So we won't actually need a timer when we create our subscriber. So without explaining any further, let's just do it. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and jump down and let's create a subscriber. And then we can see that we want to pass in any message type. So we're going to come up here and we want to say from, just like on the other, just like over here, we want to say from standard message dot message import string. Okay, so just remember we got this by coming down to our package XML and adding this dependency line here, and that gave us access to the standard messages. Alright, so close that. Let's actually open that back up. Alright, so we initiated our subscriber. Now we just got to add in our arguments. So we need to give it the string for message type. Now we need to give it the topic name, which we already know what that is also. I'm going to go ahead to save from any typos. I'm going to copy and paste that one. And then, because it's got to be exact. Then what does it want? Oh yeah, the callback function. Let's just jump down here. And we're going to go ahead and define a callback function. And we'll call it display. Now we can go ahead and self. So this way, I just like defining it first and putting in pass. It's nice having them there because then it'll suggest it for you and you can just tab it and or hit enter. Alright, so we got that, and I do believe we want to give it a Q or no Q. We do give it a Q like we did, and like we did with our callback, or like we did over here. So we're going to give it a Q of 10. Okay, so now more or less all we got to do in our callback down here is we are going to actually be receiving a message, because that's what's going to be passed through here. So if you remember back here, what we did, we create a variable from the string, and it's called message, and inside that message we give it, we create an attribute called data, and we set that attribute equal to this string. So now this variable with this attribute is now carrying this message, and then we can send that message over the publisher. And that's essentially what we did. So we're going to come over here and we're going to receive that message. And we can actually get rid of our pass. Delete tab. Alright. What I want to do is, all I actually have to do is log it. So we could just do a self.get logger.info. Now remember, again, like I said, it's message.data. That's where this string lives. So we just got to make sure we reference it the same over here, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really all I think I need to do. So we don't actually have to add that destroy line if we don't want to. But so I do believe that would be all I have to do to get this subscriber node to work. So the next thing that we have to do, I shouldn't say all we have to do to get it to work, that's all I have to do to create the node. So now also I have to do to get it to work is we come down to our setup.py file, and we got to add this new node to the entry point because we got to be able to actually run it from a terminal. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add another line. This is going to be called, we're going to go ahead and call it display node, just to follow the same convention that we've been doing. It's still definitely Larry controller, only instead of being monitor status, you can see right here it's display status. So we could have actually, well, I'm not going to do it now. Never mind. Display status main, everything should stay the same. Alright, that should be basically all I need to do outside of rebuilding my package. So let's see what happens when I do that. So CD, we want a CD to our workspace, and then we're gonna say Larry controller, and it built successfully. So with a little bit of luck, what we could do, just to be on the safe side of things, we could source our bash RC, and clear. I'm going to create a new terminal. That is 2 in my workspace. So one terminal is going to be my publisher node, and the other terminal is going to be my subscriber node. So fingers crossed, both of these still work. Let's go ahead and say ROS2 run, Larry controller, display node. Let's just see if it fires up. Alright, so we can see that it did indeed fire up. We can see it says hello world from the display status node. So you can see that this is subscribed to the channel, but it's not receiving any messages. But it is ready to receive messages. We already know that this one will run without a subscriber subscribed to it, but now we do know that a subscriber will run without a publisher publishing to a channel. So now let's see what happens if we say ROS2 run Larry controller monitor node. And we can see indeed that we are sending a message over from our display or our monitor status over to our display status, and it is actually indeed working. And we can see that our battery charging status is true and our battery status is counting upwards. So theoretically, when this switches back over to false, it'll start counting back down. So now in our imaginary world, our robot has left the docking station and it's now doing its thing. If it were a vacuum cleaner, maybe vacuuming the floor. And once its battery hits a certain point, it'll know that it needs to return to the docking station, and it will do so, and now it's charging. To kill our nodes, we will hit Control C. And we can see that our publisher still continues to run and it's publishing, although nobody is listening. So basically you can see that our subscriber node is a whole lot easier and faster to write than our publisher node, and then also the fact that we kind of have a little bit more of a feel of what we're doing makes it a little bit easier to get through it a little bit quicker. And with that said, that's all I really have for you this video. If you like this video, or if this video has helped you out in any way, or maybe even if it has encouraged you to maybe take on some new goals of your own, or try learning ROS perhaps, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to follow me in my journey through ROS and my learning experience and just follow along, maybe see what kind of cool stuff that I build in the future with everything that I'm kind of trying to absorb right now, go ahead and subscribe, and then that way you'll be updated every time I post a new video. Until next time, stay happy, stay coding.